My daughter-in-law took my pension and went to the seaside, leaving me without food. She came back thinking I would beg her for help, but when she opened the fridge for dinner, she screamed in horror at what she saw inside. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from, and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. The first Tuesday of every month was pension day. For 40 years I'd worked for the United States Postal Service. Rain, sleet, snow, scorching heat, I'd delivered mail through it all. Now, at 72 years old, retired for 7 years, I received $1,400 a month in pension payments. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. I'd earned every penny of it. This Tuesday morning in July, I walked to the ATM like I did every month, inserted my card, entered my PIN, selected withdrawal. The screen showed my account balance. I stared at the number, confused. My pension was direct deposited on the 1st of the month. Today was July 2nd. The money should have been there. I tried again. Checked my balance. Still zero. My heart started pounding. I pressed the button for a receipt, took it with shaking hands and walked the 3 blocks back to my son Marcus's house. The house where I'd been living for 3 years, ever since my apartment building was condemned and I had nowhere else to go. I paid $800 a month in rent to Marcus and his wife Vanessa. It was supposed to cover my room, my meals, utilities, everything. I kept the remaining $600 for my personal needs. Medications, clothes, the occasional meal out with my friends. But now all my money was gone. I walked faster, my arthritis making my knees ache with each step. When I got to the house, I saw Vanessa's car in the driveway. She was usually still asleep at 9 a.m. She didn't work, claimed she was between opportunities, but today she was awake and moving around. I let myself in through the front door. Vanessa was in the living room, packing a suitcase. Designer luggage I'd never seen before. New clothes folded neatly inside. "Vanessa," I said, my voice shaking. "My pension, all my money is gone from my account." She looked up at me and smiled. Actually smiled. "Oh, that. Yeah, I took it." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. You took my pension, how?" "Marcus added me to your bank account 6 months ago. Remember when you signed those papers? You thought it was for emergencies." She made air quotes with her fingers. "Well, this was an emergency. I needed a vacation. So I took your pension money. All of it." I couldn't breathe, couldn't process what she was saying. "That's my money. I need that for medication, for food, for—" "You need it?" Vanessa's voice turned sharp. "You live in my house, you eat my food. You use my electricity. I'm tired of supporting you. So I took what I'm owed. But I'm going to Ocean City for a week. Beach vacation. Nice hotel, spa treatments. The works." She zipped up her suitcase with a flourish. "You know, the kind of vacation I deserve after putting up with you for 3 years. But that's $1,400. That's everything I have for the month, and I earned it." Vanessa stood up, looking me right in the eye. "Putting up with you for 3 years. Your constant complaining. Your old person smell. Your boring stories about the post office that nobody cares about. Considerate payment for services rendered." I felt tears starting to form. "What am I supposed to eat?" "My medications. There's food in the fridge. Eat that." She grabbed her purse, checked her reflection in the mirror. "And as for medications, you're 72. You'll survive a week without them. People your age are tougher than they look, right? When I get back, we'll discuss new arrangements. Higher rent? Maybe. Or you can move out. Your choice." The front door opened. Marcus came in, still in his construction work clothes. "Home for lunch." "What's going on?" he asked, looking between us. "I'm taking a vacation," Vanessa said brightly. "Your mother can manage for a week." Marcus looked uncomfortable but said nothing. I turned to him, desperate. "Marcus, she took my entire pension, all my money, every penny." He looked at Vanessa. "Baby, maybe you should leave her some cash. Stay out of this, Marcus." Vanessa's voice was ice. "Your mother has been freeloading long enough. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay with it." She walked over to Marcus, kissed him on the cheek. "I'll call you when I get to the hotel. Love you." Then she grabbed her suitcase and walked out the door. I looked at my son. "You're going to let her do this?" Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. "She's my wife. Ma, I gotta keep the peace. She stole my pension. I'll talk to her when she gets back. We'll figure something out." He grabbed a sandwich from the kitchen. "I gotta get back to the site. We'll talk tonight." He left, and I was alone. I stood in the living room for a long time, trying to understand what had just happened. My daughter-in-law had stolen my pension, my entire monthly income, and my son had let her do it. I walked to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator, almost empty. Expired milk that smelled sour. Some condiments, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, half an onion, a stick of butter. I checked the pantry, 1 can of beans, a sleeve of stale crackers, some rice. Vanessa had been letting the groceries run down before her vacation. Probably planned this for weeks. I had no money. Vanessa had taken everything from my bank account. I didn't have any cash hidden away. Vanessa had gone through my room before. I'd caught her once, claimed she was just cleaning, so I knew better than to hide money in my bedroom. I thought about my medications. Blood pressure pills, diabetes medication, arthritis pain relief. I had maybe 3 days worth left. After that, nothing. I couldn't afford refills. Not without money. I sat down at the kitchen table, my hands shaking. Vanessa was expecting me to be desperate when she returned. Expected me to beg, to plead, to agree to whatever new terms she set. Higher rent, more restrictions, more control. She thought she'd broken me, but Vanessa didn't know who she was dealing with. I was Beatrice Johnson, 72 years old. Retired postal worker who'd spent 40 years delivering mail through every kind of weather and hardship. I'd raised 3 children by myself after my husband died. Survived poverty, discrimination, health scares, economic downturns. I was tougher than Vanessa thought, and I was about to teach her a very important lesson about underestimating an elder. I went to my bedroom and pulled out an old shoebox from the top shelf of my closet. Inside were documents, photos, and an old address book. The kind with actual names and phone numbers written in pen, not stored in some phone that could be taken away. Vanessa thought I was isolated, helpless, alone, except for Marcus. She was wrong. I had friends. Lots of them. I just didn't talk about them around Vanessa anymore because she'd mocked them so many times. I'd learned to keep that part of my life private. Your postal worker friends? They're so boring, B. All they talk about is retirement and health problems. Church people are so judgmental. I don't know how you stand them. Why do you waste time with those old people? You should focus on family. So I'd stopped mentioning them, but I hadn't stopped seeing them. I opened my address book and found the first number I needed. Dorothy Williams, 70 years old. My best friend for 42 years. We'd started at the post office on the same day, worked side by side for decades, retired within 6 months of each other. I dialed her number. Hello, Dorothy? It's B. I need help. Her voice immediately shifted to concern. What's wrong? Vanessa took my pension money and left me with no food. She went to Ocean City for a week and— That witch. Did what? Dorothy's voice rose to a level that probably disturbed her cat. I'm coming over right now. No, wait. I have a plan, but I need some supplies. What kind of supplies? Groceries, not for me to eat. I'll explain later. Can you help? Because of course I can help. What do you need? We talked for 10 minutes. I explained my plan. Dorothy started laughing. You're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'll get everything together and bring it over tomorrow. Thank you. Don't thank me. We take care of our own. That's what postal sisters do. Next I called my nephew James. He was 48, ran a successful soul food restaurant in downtown Baltimore called James's Kitchen. Auntie B, how are you? I'm okay, baby. But I need a favor. Can you spare some restaurant food? Vanessa left me without groceries and— Say no more. James didn't even let me finish. I'll bring you enough food for 2 weeks. Tomorrow good? Tomorrow's perfect. But James, don't tell Marcus about this. Not yet. Why not? Because I'm teaching someone a lesson, and I need everyone to think I'm struggling. James was quiet for a moment. Auntie, what are you up to? Justice, baby. Just justice. He laughed. All right. I trust you. I'll bring food tomorrow afternoon. The third call was to Ruth Patterson, 65, retired nurse, member of my church for 20 years. Ruth, can you refill my prescriptions? I can pay you back when next month's pension comes, but right now, B.A. Stop. How many times have you helped me over the years? Remember when Carl was sick and I couldn't afford his medications? You gave me $200 without me even asking. That was different. It wasn't different. We help each other. That's what we do. Bring me your prescription bottles tomorrow. I'll take care of everything. By the time I finished making calls, I'd lined up everything I needed. Not just to survive, but to execute my plan perfectly. Over the next 2 days, my support network descended on Marcus's house like a well-organized army. Dorothy arrived Wednesday morning with 2 full bags of groceries, fresh vegetables, meat, bread, milk, eggs, cheese, fruit. "This is from all of us at the Postal Workers Retirement Club," she said, setting the bags on the kitchen counter. "We took up a collection. Everyone contributed." I hugged her tight. "Tell them thank you." "I will. Now explain this plan of yours." I told her everything. Dorothy's eyes got wider and wider. "That's perfect," she said when I finished. "Absolutely perfect. That girl is going to lose her mind. She deserves it. You should have heard what she said to me, Dorothy. Called me a freeloader. Said I had an old person smell. Mocked my stories about the post office." Dorothy's face hardened. "I've never liked that woman. From the first time Marcus brought her around, I knew something was off. Too sweet. Too fake. And the way she looked at you like you were an inconvenience. I tried to warn Marcus," I said quietly. "Before they got married, told him I had concerns about how she treated people. Service workers, retail employees, anyone she thought was beneath her. He said I was being judgmental. That I needed to give her a chance. So I did. For 3 years I gave her chances, and she just got worse." Dorothy squeezed my hand. "Well, now she's going to learn what happens when you mess with one of us." James arrived Wednesday afternoon with his truck full of restaurant containers, prepared meals, fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, black-eyed peas, potato salad. "Auntie, this is stuff we made too much of. It's either you take it or we throw it out. So you're actually doing me a favor." I knew that wasn't true. James had prepared this food specifically for me, but I appreciated him preserving my dignity. "James, baby, thank you, but I need to know, how much do I owe you for all this?" "You don't owe me anything, James. Auntie B, you babysat me every summer from when I was 6 until I was 12. Free. You helped my mama when she was struggling. You gave me money for my first food truck when no bank would loan to me. This food? This is nothing compared to what you've done for our family." He pulled out another container. "And this is special. Pound cake, your recipe. The one you taught me when I was learning to bake." I started crying. "You made my pound cake? Every time I make it, I think of you, of those summers in your kitchen, learning to measure ingredients, learning patience. You taught me more than cooking, Auntie. You taught me that food is love. That taking care of people matters. Now let me take care of you." Ruth came by Wednesday evening with a pharmacy bag full of medications. All my prescriptions filled for a full month. "The pharmacist is my cousin," she explained. "I told him the situation, he gave me a discount. Don't worry about the cost, Ruth. I can't." "Yes, you can, and you will." She squeezed my hand. "Bifa, you've spent 3 years in a house where you're not valued, where you're treated like a burden. Let us show you what real family looks like." She sat down at the kitchen table with me. "Can I tell you something? When Carl died last year, I was lost. Didn't know how I was going to manage. The funeral, the bills, everything. You showed up at my house with a casserole and an envelope with $500 in it. You said, 'This is for whatever you need. Don't pay me back, just take care of yourself.' I never forgot that, and I never will. So, when you need help, when someone steals from you and leaves you with nothing, we're here, all of us." By Wednesday night my bedroom was full of food and medications, but the kitchen that Vanessa would see when she returned, remained almost empty, because I had a plan, and every detail mattered. Thursday morning I went to the thrift store on Eastern Avenue. I had $20 in my purse that I'd forgotten about, stuck in an inside pocket from weeks ago. I used $15 to buy a small mini fridge. Old but working. Just big enough to fit in my bedroom closet. The thrift store manager, an older black man named Thomas who I'd known for years, helped me load it into a taxi. "Miss Bear, you sure you're okay? You need a fridge?" "I'm fine, Thomas. Just need some extra storage space." He didn't look convinced, but didn't push. Back at the house I set up the mini fridge in my bedroom closet, hidden behind some boxes and old clothes, plugged it in. It hummed to life. Then I transferred all the good food into my mini fridge. The prepared meals from James. The fresh groceries from Dorothy. Everything. In the main kitchen I left the fridge almost exactly as it had been, almost empty, looking sad and depleted, but I added something special. I'd done some research online at the library, looked up special effects, how to make realistic-looking mold and decay. I used food coloring green and black, mixed it with gelatin, created a substance that looked disturbingly like rotting organic matter. I took some of the expired food Vanessa had left, the sour milk, the old onions, some chicken that had gone bad, arranged it in the fridge in a way that looked like it had been sitting there forgotten for days. Then I added my gelatin mixture, made it look like the rot had spread, like something had died in that fridge and been left to decay. I bought Limburger cheese, the smelliest cheese known to mankind, and hid small pieces throughout the fridge setup. Not visible but definitely aromatic. The effect was horrifying. It looked like a health hazard. Smelled even worse. I also stopped cleaning the house. Let dishes pile up in the sink, but I washed them privately in my bathroom and put them back dirty looking. Let the trash build up slightly. Made it look like I'd been struggling. Unable to cope. Too weak and sick to maintain basic hygiene. Meanwhile, in my bedroom, I was eating well, taking my medications, actually feeling better than I had in months. But to anyone who saw the house, it would look like I'd barely survived. Marcus came home every evening that week. I made sure to look weak when he was around. Moved slowly, acted tired, didn't eat in front of him. Ma, you okay? You eaten today? I'm managing, son. Don't worry about me. There's gotta be some food left. Want me to check? I'm fine, Marcus. You go on to bed. You work hard. You need your rest. He looked guilty but didn't push. Didn't actually check the fridge. Didn't actually help. Just kept saying, when Vanessa gets back, we'll sort this out. She didn't mean it. She's just stressed. I said nothing. Let him believe what he wanted to believe. Thursday night, I overheard Marcus on the phone with Vanessa. I wasn't eavesdropping intentionally. My bedroom shared a wall with the living room and he was talking loudly. How's the vacation, baby? Yeah. That's great. Your ma's fine. A little quiet, but you know how she is. No? I haven't really checked on her much. Been working late shifts. Yeah. I'm sure she's managing. She's tough. He had no idea that his wife had left his mother without food or medication. No idea that I was supposedly struggling in the next room. Or maybe he did know. Maybe he just didn't want to know. That was almost worse. On Friday evening, day 5 of Vanessa's vacation, Marcus tried to give me money. He pulled out his wallet, extracted 2 20s. For food, Ma. Please take it. I refused. I don't need charity from you, Marcus. It's not charity. Yes? It is. And I don't need it. I'll be fine. Ma, please. I know things have been tight. I know Vanessa can be difficult. Just take the money. If you know Vanessa can be difficult, why did you let her steal my pension? He flinched. She didn't steal it. She needed a break. With my money. Without my permission, while leaving me with no food or medication. Marcus, in what world is that not stealing? She's stressed, Mom. You don't understand the pressure she's under. What pressure? She doesn't work. She doesn't have children. She doesn't take care of this house. I do most of the cleaning. What exactly is stressing her out? Marcus got defensive. You don't understand marriage. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices to keep the peace. Sacrifices like letting your wife abuse your mother. She's not abusing you. She just needed some space. I looked at my son, really looked at him. Saw the man he'd become. Weak, controlled. Choosing a woman who didn't respect him over the mother who'd raised him alone. You're right, Marcus. I don't understand your marriage. And I don't want to. I went to my bedroom and closed the door. Left him standing there with his $40, his guilt, and his excuses. Meanwhile, 70 miles away in Ocean City, Vanessa was having the time of her life. I knew this because Dorothy had helped me create a fake Facebook account so I could see Vanessa's posts. Photos of her on the beach. Selfies with cocktails. Pictures of spa treatments. Fancy dinners. Sunset views. All funded by my $1,400 pension. Her captions made me sick. Finally treating myself, I deserve this. Self-care, beach life, living my best life. Solo vacation vibes. Sometimes you need time away from everyone. Spay a day because I'm worth it. Her friends commented, you look amazing. Where's Marcus? Vanessa's response, he's working. This is my time. Every woman deserves a solo getaway. One of her friends wrote, what about Marcus's mom? Isn't she living with you? Vanessa's response made my blood boil. She's fine. Probably enjoying having the house to herself for once. No mention of where the money came from. No mention of the 72-year-old woman she'd left without food or medication. Dorothy, looking over my shoulder at the library computer, muttered, that girl is pure evil. She thinks she's won, I said quietly. She thinks when she gets back, I'll be so desperate I'll agree to anything she demands. Higher rent. More control. Complete submission, but she's wrong. Dorothy smiled. She has no idea what's waiting for her. I scrolled through more of Vanessa's posts, photos of her at an expensive seafood restaurant, at a beachfront bar, getting a massage, shopping at boutique stores. Every image was a knife in my heart. That was my money. Money I'd earned delivering mail for 40 years. Money meant for my food, my medications, my survival, and she was spending it on luxuries while I supposedly starved at home. How can someone be this cruel? I whispered. Dorothy put her arm around me. Some people are just broken inside, Bah. They don't have empathy, don't have compassion. They see other people as objects to use. Marcus doesn't see it. Marcus doesn't want to see it. That's different. He's chosen comfort over conscience. But he's going to have to see it eventually. And when he does, it's going to destroy him. Saturday was the hardest day. I was alone in the house all day. Marcus was working a double shift at the construction site. I sat in my bedroom eating James's food, taking my medications, but feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on me. I thought about my life. About the choices that had led me here. After my husband died 22 years ago, I could have remarried. I'd had opportunities, good men who'd expressed interest, but I'd chosen to focus on my children, on my work, on building a stable life. I'd worked 2 jobs for years. Postal service during the day, cleaning office buildings at night. Put all 3 of my children through college. Marcus was the youngest. My baby, the one I'd sacrificed the most for. And this was how he repaid me. By marrying a woman who stole from me. By standing by while she abused me. I cried that Saturday. Really cried. Grieved for the son I'd lost. For the relationship that had been poisoned. For the years I'd wasted thinking I was building a family legacy. But I also got angry. A righteous, burning anger that fueled my resolve. Vanessa thought she could break me. Thought she could take everything and leave me begging. She was about to learn that you don't survive 40 years as a black woman in the postal service without developing an iron spine. I'd faced racism from customers who didn't want a black woman delivering their mail. Sexism from supervisors who thought women couldn't handle the physical demands. Ageism from younger workers who thought I should retire and make room for them. I'd faced all of that and kept going. Kept delivering. Kept working. A spoiled, entitled daughter-in-law who stole my pension. That was nothing. I was going to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. Sunday evening, day 7, Vanessa returned. I heard her car pull into the driveway around 6 p.m., heard her getting her luggage out of the trunk, heard her key in the lock. She walked in looking tanned, relaxed, happy. She was wearing new clothes, a designer sundress I'd never seen before, new sunglasses perched on her head, new sandals on her feet. Even her nails were freshly manicured, all bought with my money. I'm home, she called out cheerfully. God, that vacation was amazing. I feel like a completely new person. She looked around the living room and her nose wrinkled in disgust. Ugh, what happened here? Did you not clean at all this week? The place looks like a dump. I was sitting in the armchair, deliberately looking frail. I'd put on my oldest, most worn-out clothes, hadn't done my hair in days. Made myself look as pathetic as possible, even put a little baby powder on my face to make myself look paler. Sicker. I didn't have much energy, Vanessa, I said weakly, my voice barely above a whisper. Without food, without my medications. Oh, please. She rolled her eyes dramatically. So dramatic, you're always so dramatic, Bea. I'm sure you survived just fine. You old people are always exaggerating how hard things are. She set down her bags, stretched luxuriously. Now that I'm back, we need to talk about new arrangements. Your rent is going up to $1,200 a month. That leaves you $200 for yourself. Take it or leave it. I stared at her, letting my shock show. I can't afford that. I need money for medications, for personal items, for... Not my problem. You can agree to $1,200 or you can move out. Your choice. Plenty of old folks' homes that would take you. She said it so casually, like she was discussing the weather. Like she hadn't just proposed taking 86% of my pension. Think about it while I make dinner, she said, heading toward the kitchen. I'm absolutely starving. All that vacation food was too rich. Fancy restaurants every night. I need some real home cooking. She was almost to the kitchen when she turned back. Oh, and B, I'm going to need my bathroom cleaned tomorrow. It's gotten dusty while I was gone. You can handle that, right? She didn't wait for an answer. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. I stayed in my chair listening. I heard Vanessa's footsteps on the kitchen floor. Heard her opening cabinets, probably looking for a pot or pan to cook dinner in. Then I heard the refrigerator door open, and then, a scream. A genuine, blood-curdling, horror movie scream that probably scared the neighbors 3 houses down. The kind of scream that suggested someone had found a dead body. What the hell is that? Oh my god. Oh my god. I stood up slowly, taking my time, and walked to the kitchen. Marcus came running from the bedroom where he'd been changing out of his work clothes. What's wrong? What happened? Vanessa was stumbling backward from the open refrigerator, her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide with absolute horror. Her face had gone pale beneath her vacation tan. There's something dead in there. Oh my god. Oh my god. What is that? It's rotting. I can smell it from here. Marcus looked in the fridge. His face went completely pale. Jesus Christ. Ma, I walked in calmly, moving slowly like the frail old woman I'd been pretending to be.
Oh, that! Yes.
Since you took all my money and left me without food, I had to get creative. Vanessa was still backing away, looking like she might be sick. That's disgusting. How could you let the fridge get like that? There's mold everywhere. And that smell. It smells like something died. I couldn't afford groceries, I said quietly. So I waited to see what you'd bring back when you returned, but the food you left me went bad while you were gone. Really bad. I didn't have the energy to clean it out. The fridge was a masterpiece of horrible. The gelatin and food coloring mixture I'd created looked like flesh that had rotted and liquefied. The Limburger cheese smell was overwhelming, mixing with the scent of actually spoiled food to create something truly nauseating. The staging made it look like something had died in there and been left to decompose for weeks. It was revolting. It was perfect. Vanessa was holding her hand over her nose and mouth. This is a health hazard. You let it get this bad? What is wrong with you? Marcus was staring at the fridge, then at me, then at Vanessa, his expression shifting from horror to understanding to something else. Something harder. Ma, how long has this been here? His voice was quiet. About 5 days, I said, letting my voice tremble. Since the food Vanessa left ran out. I've been eating crackers and water, trying to make them last until she came back. I was rationing them. 1 cracker for breakfast, 1 for lunch, water for dinner. This was partially true. There had been no food in the main fridge for days. The crackers and expired milk were all Vanessa had left me. Of course, I'd been eating well from my hidden stash in my bedroom. James's fried chicken, Dorothy's fresh vegetables. Good, nourishing food. But they didn't need to know that. Vanessa had recovered enough from her shock to get angry. You couldn't clean this out? This is disgusting. You're disgusting. How could you let it get this bad? You let my voice grow even weaker, more fragile. I'm diabetic, Vanessa. Without my medication, I barely had strength to walk to the bathroom. My blood sugar was all over the place. I was dizzy, weak, disoriented. You think I could clean out a rotting refrigerator when I could barely stand up? Marcus turned slowly to face Vanessa. You left her without medication? I told her there was food here. Vanessa was defensive now, her voice rising, getting shrill. I told her before I left. There was food in the fridge. There was half an onion and expired milk. I said softly. That's what you left me with. Marcus walked to the pantry, opened it, saw the single can of beans and sleeve of stale crackers that I'd left there as evidence. His face changed, really changed. Like he was seeing something clearly for the first time in years. The weak, enabling expression he'd worn for so long was replaced by something harder. Something that looked like his father, the strong man who'd raised Marcus to be better than this. Vanessa, he said quietly, what the hell did you do? I took a vacation. Vanessa's voice was shrill now, defensive and angry. I deserved a break from dealing with her. Her constant complaining, her neediness, her boring stories. 3 years of putting up with an old woman who can't take care of herself. You stole her pension. Marcus's voice was louder than I'd heard it in years. $1,400. All of it. And you left her with nothing. It's not stealing. She lives in my house. I've been taking care of her for 3 years. It's your house? I said quietly, and both of them turned to look at me. Vanessa, I've been paying rent. $800 a month for 3 years. That's $28,800 I've paid you. $28,000. I let that number hang in the air. Plus I buy my own food, my own toiletries, my own medications, my own cleaning supplies. I clean this house more than you do. I vacuum my dust. I do laundry. I cook dinner 4 nights a week. I'm not a freeloader. You took my entire pension for a beach vacation while I had no food and no medicine. While I rationed crackers like I was surviving a famine. Marcus was looking at me, really looking at me for the first time in months. I knew what he was seeing, how thin I'd gotten over the past 3 years. I'd lost nearly 30 pounds, though not from this week. From months of Vanessa's cooking, which usually meant cheap, processed, nutritionally empty food. Ramen noodles, frozen dinners, fast food. He was seeing the tremor in my hands, from blood pressure that had been poorly controlled because I'd been rationing my medications to make them last longer. Sometimes skipping doses to save money. He was seeing the grayish tone to my skin from stress, from poor nutrition, from living in a house where I was treated like a burden instead of a human being. He was seeing his mother, the woman who'd raised him alone after his father died, the woman who'd worked 2 jobs to put him through school, the woman who'd sacrificed everything for him. And he was seeing what his wife had done to her. "Ma," he said, and his voice cracked. "Why didn't you call me? Tell me you needed help. Tell me what was really happening." "I tried, Marcus. The day Vanessa took my money, I told you what she'd done. You said you had to keep the peace with your wife. You told me you'd talk to her when she got back, but that I should just manage for a week." The words hit him like a physical blow. I saw him flinch. "I tried to tell you for 3 years that Vanessa was mistreating me, that she mocked me, called me names, made me feel unwelcome in your home. And every time you told me I was being too sensitive, that I needed to get along with her, that marriage is about compromise. So I stopped telling you. I stopped asking for help, because I knew you wouldn't give it." Marcus looked like I'd slapped him, and in a way I had, with the truth. "This ends now," he said, turning to Vanessa. His voice was shaking with barely controlled rage. "Give her back the money. All of it. Today." "I spent it," Vanessa shouted. "The hotel, the spa, the restaurants, the shopping. I spent it. It's gone." "Then you'll pay her back. You'll get a job and you'll pay her back. Every penny."
A job?
Vanessa's voice went even higher. "I don't work. That's not our arrangement. You work. I manage the household. You don't manage anything. My mother cleans this house. My mother cooks most of our meals. My mother pays $800 a month in rent. What exactly do you do?" Vanessa's face twisted with rage. "I put up with her. That's what I do. You have no idea what it's like living with an old woman who shuffles around in her bathrobe, who smells like old lady perfume, who tells the same boring stories over and over." "Then get a job," Marcus said coldly. "Because you're going to pay back every penny you stole. And if you can't do that, then you can leave. Because I'm done choosing you over my mother." Vanessa's expression cycled through shock, rage, and disbelief. "You're taking her side? Your wife is standing here, and you're taking your mother's side?" "She's my mother," Marcus was yelling now. "She raised me by herself after Dad died. She worked 40 years delivering mail so I could have a better life. She paid for my college, she helped me when I was struggling. She's been there for me my entire life. And you? You stole her pension to go to the beach." "Yeah, I'm taking her side." Vanessa grabbed her purse from the counter. "Fine. I'm going to my sister's house. When you come to your senses and remember who you're actually married to, who you actually chose to build a life with, then you can call me." She stormed toward the door but turned back at the last moment. "This isn't over, Marcus. You're choosing that decrepit old woman over me. Over your wife. You're going to regret this." "That decrepit old woman is worth 10 of you," Marcus said quietly. "And the only thing I regret is not seeing what you were 3 years ago." Vanessa slammed the door so hard the pictures on the wall rattled. We heard her car start, tires squealing as she peeled out of the driveway. Then the house was silent. Marcus and I stood in the kitchen, the horrifying refrigerator still open between us, the smell of rotten Limburger cheese filling the air. Marcus looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw tears forming in his eyes. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I should have seen what she was doing." "Yes," I said simply. "You should have, but you didn't. So I protected myself." I went to my bedroom and came back with my phone. Showed him the call log from the past week. Dorothy, James, Ruth. Other names he didn't recognize. I wasn't alone, Marcus. I have people who care about me. Real family friends, who showed up when I needed them. They brought me food, medications, everything I needed. I didn't starve this week. I ate better than I have in months. Marcus looked confused, hurt, betrayed. Then why is the fridge? I wanted Vanessa to see what she did, what she left me with. I gestured to the horrifying display. The rotten food was real. What she abandoned me with went bad. That part is true. I could have cleaned it out. But I wanted her to see it. Smell it. Experience the consequence of her cruelty. You set this up? Marcus was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. The whole thing? I survived, Marcus. That's what I do, that's what I've always done. Survive. Adapt. Overcome. But I made sure Vanessa understood what she'd done. What it means to abuse an elder. To steal from someone who has nothing. To leave someone without food or medicine. She needs to face consequences. Real consequences. Not just apologize and have everything go back to normal. In you, Marcus, you need to understand that your loyalty was misplaced. That you've been enabling abuse for 3 years. Marcus sat down heavily at the kitchen table, his head in his hands. He looked 10 years older than he had an hour ago. I've been a terrible son. Yes. I agreed because lying wouldn't help him. You have been. But Marcus, you can learn from this. You can be better. You can choose to do the right thing going forward. What are you going to do now, Ma? I'm going to start looking for my own place. Somewhere I don't have to pay rent to people who see me as a burden. Somewhere I can live with dignity. Ma, you don't have to leave. I'll make Vanessa apologize. I'll make her pay you back. We can fix this. For how long, Marcus? Until she cries and tells you she's sorry. Until she promises to change. Until she threatens to leave and you panic. How long until it's easier to just go along with her again? To let her control you. To choose peace over doing what's right. He didn't have an answer. Because we both knew the truth. Marcus was weak. He'd proven it for 3 years. One moment of backbone didn't erase that, and I couldn't live the rest of my life waiting for him to disappoint me again. I'm leaving, Marcus. I'm finding my own place. And you're going to have to decide what kind of man you want to be. But that's your choice. Not mine. I've made mine. Over the next few weeks things moved quickly. Vanessa came back after 3 days at her sister's house. Expecting Marcus to apologize. To beg her to return, to promise that things would go back to normal. Instead, he handed her divorce papers. I can't be married to someone who would do what you did, he said. Who would steal from my mother and leave her to starve? Who would treat an elderly woman with such cruelty? I've been thinking about our marriage. Really thinking about how you've treated Maul over the years. The comments, the mockery, the control, the way you isolated me from my family and friends. I was wrong to let it happen, wrong to enable it, wrong to choose comfort over conscience. But it ends now. Sign the papers. Vanessa fought at first. Tried tears. Tried anger. Tried seduction. When none of that worked, she tried to negotiate. Wanted the house. Wanted alimony. Wanted Marcus to pay for her to get back on her feet. But Maryland law doesn't favor non-working spouses who are capable of working. And stealing from an elderly family member didn't exactly make her sympathetic to the judge. She got nothing. Just her personal belongings and whatever money she had in her own account. The divorce was final 3 months later. Vanessa never paid back the $1,400 pension she'd stolen. Claimed she couldn't afford it. The court couldn't make her pay what she didn't have. But I didn't care anymore. Because 3 days after that terrible Sunday when Vanessa came home, I'd found something better than revenge. I'd found freedom. With Dorothy's help, I applied for subsidized senior housing. There was a beautiful apartment complex in downtown Baltimore called Harborview Senior Living. Modern buildings, secure entry with a community center on the first floor offering activities, classes and support services, bright common areas. A library, a small gym, a garden courtyard where residents could sit and enjoy the sunshine. My application was approved in 6 weeks. The apartment was small, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a kitchen with new appliances, and a living room with large windows overlooking the harbor. But it was mine. All mine. My rent was based on my income, $420 a month. Utilities included. The math was simple and beautiful. $1,400 pension minus $420 rent equals $900 for everything else. More money than I'd had in 3 years. Money for food, real food, fresh vegetables, quality meat, ingredients for the recipes I'd perfected over 50 years of cooking. Money for medications without having to ration or skip doses. Money for small luxuries. Books from the bookstore. Coffee with friends. A new dress for church. Money to save. To build an emergency fund. To have security. I moved in on a Saturday in October. Dorothy, James, Ruth, and a dozen other friends showed up to help. We filled my little apartment with furniture from thrift stores. donations and pieces people had been storing in their basements. A comfortable couch, a kitchen table with 4 chairs, a bed with a real mattress, bookshelves for my collection of books. Marcus helped too. We were slowly, carefully rebuilding our relationship. He visited every Sunday now. We cooked dinner together and talked. Really talked. I'm so sorry. For everything, for not protecting you. For choosing Vanessa over you. For being weak. I know you are, Marcus. And I forgive you. But son, you have to learn from this. You can't let anyone, wife, girlfriend, whoever, make you choose between them and your family. Between them and what's right. I won't. I promise. I'm in therapy now, working on understanding why I let Vanessa control me, why I couldn't stand up to her. Good. Because Marcus, I raised you to be strong, to be honest, to do right even when it's hard. You forgot that for a while, but you can remember. I'm trying, Ma. Every day I'm trying to be the man Dad would have wanted me to be. The man you raised me to be. That's all I ask. 6 months after I moved into my apartment, I was thriving. I joined the activities committee at Harborview, helped organize card games every Wednesday afternoon, movie nights on Fridays, group outings to museums and restaurants. I volunteered at the Baltimore Postal Museum 3 mornings a week, giving tours to school groups, sharing stories about the history of mail delivery in America. Did you know that in the 1960s postal workers walked up to 20 miles a day delivering mail, in all kinds of weather? I did it for 40 years, and let me tell you, those mail bags were heavy. The kids loved hearing about the old days, about mail before email, about the camaraderie among postal workers, about the pride we took in our work. I had dinner with James at his restaurant once a month. He still insisted I eat for free. Auntie, you're helping me test new recipes. You're doing me a favor. James, baby, you don't have new recipes every month? Well then consider it family discount. Either way, you're not paying. Dorothy and I had our weekly card games with Ruth and 3 other women from our postal worker days. We called ourselves the Mail Ladies and met every Thursday evening. We played spades with a ruthlessness that would shock anyone who thought elderly women were gentle and sweet. We talked, laughed, gossiped, supported each other. This was my community, my chosen family. The people who'd shown up when I needed them. One Saturday evening 6 months after moving in, I hosted dinner at my apartment for the first time. I'd spent all day cooking. A full spread that reminded me of Sunday dinners from my childhood. Fried chicken with a perfectly crispy crust. Mac and cheese so creamy it melted in your mouth. Collard greens slow-cooked with ham hocks. Cornbread with honey butter. Sweet potato pie for dessert. The recipes I'd perfected over 50 years of cooking for my family. Dorothy arrived first, carrying a bottle of wine. Bia, this place smells amazing. What did you make? Everything. I wanted to cook a real meal. A celebration meal. Ruth came next with a salad. James arrived with fresh rolls from his restaurant. Marcus came with flowers. My small dining table couldn't fit everyone, so we ate buffet style, sitting wherever we could find space. The couch, the chairs, even some people sitting on the floor like we were at a picnic. It was perfect. We ate and laughed and told stories. Dorothy reminded everyone about the time a dog had chased me down an entire block while I was delivering mail, and I'd had to climb a tree to escape. James told the story of the first time I taught him to make pound cake, and he'd confused tablespoons with cups and made a brick instead of a cake. Ruth talked about the time I'd shown up at her house in the middle of the night when her husband was sick, stayed with her in the emergency room until dawn, then gone straight to work without sleeping. That's who BA is, Ruth said. She shows up, she takes care of people. She's there when you need her, and when B needed us, we showed up for her. That's how family works. Real family. Marcus was quiet through most of dinner. Just listening, learning. I hoped what real love and support looked like. After everyone had eaten their fill and we were lingering over sweet potato pie, Dorothy asked the question I knew was coming. Did you ever hear from Vanessa? She tried to call once, I said. About 2 months ago, left a voicemail saying she wanted to apologize, that she was wrong about how she treated me. What did you do? I called her back, let her say what she needed to say, and, she cried, said she didn't realize how bad things had gotten, that she was stressed about money and took it out on me. That she was sorry. Did you believe her? I thought about it. I think she was sorry she got caught. Sorry she lost her comfortable life. Sorry the consequences affected her. But sorry for what she actually did to me, for stealing my pension, for leaving me without food, For years of cruelty and mockery. No, I don't think she understood that at all. What did you tell her? I said thank you for the apology, but I've moved on. I have a life now that doesn't include people who steal from elders and leave them without food. A life with people who actually value me. She cried harder. Said she'd changed. Said she wanted another chance. Asked if we could have coffee and talk. And you said? I said no. I told her you took my pension and went to the beach. You came back expecting me to beg for help. Instead you found consequences. You screamed when you opened that refrigerator and saw what your cruelty looked like. That was your moment of truth, Vanessa. And you failed it. You can't apologize your way out of that. Some things can't be fixed with sorry. That's the last I heard from her. Dorothy raised her glass. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You handled it exactly right. You showed her what happens when you underestimate an elder. When you think someone's age makes them weak or helpless. I smiled. I spent 40 years at the Postal Service. Through rain, sleet, snow, and scorching heat. Through racism and sexism and every kind of hardship. You don't survive that without being tough. Vanessa thought I was weak. Thought being 72 meant I was helpless. Thought I was easy to control. She learned different. Ruth laughed. The look on her face when she opened that fridge. I still wish I'd been there to see it. It was spectacular, Marcus said quietly. It was the first time he'd spoken in a while. Absolutely horrifying. Even knowing now that Mama had planned it, that the worst of it was staged, it still looked like something had died in there. The smell alone was enough to make you sick. James grinned. Auntie B, you're something else. Most people would have called the police or sued her or made a big public scene. But you staged a decomposing refrigerator, and let her see exactly what she'd done. Let her confront her own cruelty. That's genius. Sometimes, I said, the best response isn't revenge. It's not about hurting the person back or making them suffer. It's about showing them the natural consequences of their own actions. Letting them really see what they've done. I didn't hurt Vanessa. I didn't steal from her. I didn't abuse her. I just showed her what she'd done to me. Made it visible. Made it real. Made it impossible to ignore or rationalize. And that was enough. Dorothy nodded. More than enough. She lost her marriage. Her comfortable life where she didn't have to work. Her control over Marcus. All because she couldn't resist taking a beach vacation with stolen money. Pride goes before destruction. Ruth quoted from Proverbs. And a haughty spirit before a fall. The Bible tells us that and life proves it true. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, each of us thinking about the journey that had brought us here. Finally I stood up. I want to thank all of you, for showing up when I needed you, for bringing food and medications, for helping me move, for being my real family. 3 years ago when my apartment building was condemned, I thought I had nowhere to go. Marcus and Vanessa took me in, and I was grateful. But living there, being treated like a burden, being mocked and controlled and stolen from, that taught me an important lesson. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes the people who share your DNA are the ones who hurt you most. And sometimes the people who show up, who care, who treat you with dignity, those are your real family. You're my family, all of you, and I'm grateful every single day. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Dorothy stood up and hugged me. Then Ruth, then James, then Marcus, who was openly crying now. I'm sorry, Ma. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you, that I let Vanessa hurt you, that it took you staging a horror show in the refrigerator for me to see the truth. But I see it now. I see what real family looks like. What real love looks like. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it. You're learning, baby. That's all I ask. Just keep learning, keep growing, keep being better. A year after that terrible week in July when Vanessa stole my pension, I was sitting in my apartment on a Tuesday morning, pension day. I'd just come back from the ATM, checked my balance, all there, all mine, safe in an account that only had my name on it. I withdrew what I needed for the month. $200 for groceries, real groceries, the kind I'd choose myself. $100 for medications. $50 for miscellaneous expenses. That left over $1,000. I put $500 in savings, kept the rest for daily living. Simple math. Simple freedom. I paid my rent, $420 for a beautiful one-bedroom apartment with a harbor view. Utilities included, safe, clean, mine. I went grocery shopping at the farmer's market, bought fresh vegetables, quality meat, ingredients for the meals I love to cook. No one questioning my choices. No one complaining about the cost. No one making me feel guilty for eating. I refilled my medications at the pharmacy. Blood pressure pills, diabetes medication, arthritis pain relief. Took them on schedule. No rationing, no skipping doses to save money. Just proper health care. Had money left over for a new book I'd been wanting. A historical novel about the Harlem Renaissance. Simple things, but they meant everything. Marcus stopped by that evening for our weekly dinner. We'd fallen into a comfortable routine. He came every Tuesday after work. We cooked together, we talked about our weeks. Our relationship wasn't perfect. It probably never would be. The damage from those 3 years, the enabling, the choosing Vanessa over me, the betrayal, had left scars. But we were healing. Slowly. Honestly. How you doing, Ma? I'm good, baby. Real good. Pension came through, okay? Every penny. Right on time. He smiled, but there was still sadness in it. Regret. I'm glad you're here, in your own place, where you're safe, where people treat you right. Me too. I'm sorry it took so long for me to see what was happening, to see how Vanessa was treating you, to understand what I was enabling. You see it now, Marcus. That's what matters. You chose to do better, to be better. We cooked dinner together, spaghetti and meatballs, his favorite since he was a kid, ate at my small table overlooking the harbor, watched the sunset paint the water orange and pink, talked about his new job. He'd left the construction company and was now working as a foreman for a better outfit, better pay, better hours, better treatment. Talked about the woman he was dating, Sharon, a teacher, kind and genuine, someone who reminded me of the daughter-in-law I'd hoped Vanessa would be. After he left, I cleaned up the dishes and sat by my window, looking out at the Baltimore skyline lit up against the night sky. I thought about that morning a year ago when I discovered my pension was gone, the fear, the betrayal. The moment I'd realized my daughter-in-law had stolen from me and my son had let it happen. I thought about Vanessa coming home from her beach vacation, tanned and relaxed and confident that she'd broken me. I thought about her opening that refrigerator, the scream, the horror, the perfect, undeniable consequence. And I smiled. I'm Beatrice Johnson. I'm 73 years old now. My daughter-in-law took my pension and went to the seaside, leaving me without food or medication. She spent my money on spa treatments and fancy dinners while I supposedly starved at home. She came back thinking I would beg her for help, that I'd be so desperate, so broken that I'd agree to anything she demanded. Higher rent, more control, complete submission. But when she opened the fridge for dinner, she screamed in horror at what she saw inside. The consequences of her own cruelty, made visible and undeniable. Rotten food, decay, mold, the physical manifestation of what happens when you leave a 72-year-old woman without resources. I'd survived that week, not because I was weak and desperate, but because I was strong and resourceful. I had a support network Vanessa didn't know existed. Friends from 40 years in the postal service, family who actually cared, a community that showed up when I needed them. Dorothy brought groceries. James brought prepared meals. Ruth brought medications. Others brought support, love, solidarity. While Vanessa posted beach photos on social media, I was eating well, taking my medications, and setting up the perfect consequence for her return. A rotting refrigerator that showed her exactly what she'd done. I could have called the police, reported elder abuse, filed charges for theft, but I chose a different path. I chose to show her the truth, let her see it, smell it, experience it viscerally, and it worked better than I could have imagined. Marcus saw his wife for who she really was, filed for divorce, chose to become the man his father would have wanted him to be. Vanessa lost everything. Her marriage, her comfortable life, her control. I gained everything. My independence, my dignity, my freedom. Now I live in a beautiful apartment with people who value me. I volunteer, I host dinners, I play cards with my friends. I spend my pension on myself, food, medications, small luxuries, savings for the future. I'm thriving. Vanessa thought she could break me, thought my age made me weak, thought poverty made me powerless, thought I had no options. She was wrong about all of it. I spent 40 years delivering mail through every kind of weather and hardship, through racism, sexism, economic struggle. I raised 3 children alone, built a career, survived every challenge life threw at me. I'm tougher than I look. And when Vanessa tried to abuse me, I showed her exactly what happens when you underestimate an elder. Not with violence, not with legal battles, not even with direct confrontation until the perfect moment, but with consequences, natural, undeniable, horrifying consequences that she couldn't ignore or explain away. She stole my pension, and went to the beach. She came back expecting me to beg. Instead, she found a rotting refrigerator and a woman who refused to be broken. That scream when she opened the fridge. That moment of pure horror, that was justice. And everything that came after, the divorce, the loss of her comfortable life, the forced independence, those were the natural consequences of her choices. I didn't destroy Vanessa. She destroyed herself. I just made sure she couldn't ignore what she'd done. That's my story. Not revenge. Justice, not weakness. Strength, not defeat. Victory. I'm Beatrice Johnson, 73 years old, retired postal worker, survivor, thriver, living proof that elders aren't helpless. We have resources, connections, wisdom earned through decades of survival. We remember who helped us and who hurt us. And when necessary, we teach lessons about respect, dignity, and consequences. Vanessa learned hers the hard way. I learned mine too. Never depend on people who see you as a burden. Build your own community. Maintain your own power. Keep your own resources. And when someone tries to take them from you, show them exactly, viscerally, undeniably what they've done. Sometimes the best response is just letting people see the consequences of their own actions. The screaming when she opened that fridge was enough. The divorce was enough. My independence is enough. My freedom is everything. That's justice, and I'm finally truly completely free.